So I really think that honestly, the key to this game could end up being Sammy Watkins. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy because no one really talks about Sammy Watkins. I think when you're talking about the Chiefs offense, first you're going to bring up Mahomes, then you're going to bring up, either Hill or Kelsey in some order. And then you're probably going to talk about the Super Bowl. You're going to talk about the offensive line because they have so many injuries. But I really do think that Sammy Watkins has just as big of a role as any of them, or at least some of the depth receivers. It might not have to be Watkins, but I'm going to bet on Watkins being he's the number 2 guy. He's the guy who could break out, and he has had his share of moments, and obviously he was great in last year's Super Bowl. But let's start off with this play because this is really the key example. So it looks like, my graphic might be a little bit confusing, but the way it works is that this is a double team on not just Hill, but also Kelsey. So it's a double-double right here. You have multiple double teams, which means one-on-one matchups across the board. And also worth noting, Tampa Bay lined up with 2 safeties deep, but once Hill went over to Mahomes' right, now both safeties are deep in that area. So they're not even hiding it. They're just going to say, yeah, we're doubling your 2 top guys. Somebody else get open. So Mahomes says, okay, I'm not looking over to my right. My top 2 guys are doubled. That's fine. We'll find someone else. I'll find a different matchup. And currently, the matchup that he's going to want is going to be Sammy Watkins, he's the number 2 receiver on this play, which means he's, counting from the sideline in. Player closest to the sideline is the 1. Watkins is number 2 receiver. He's running the out route, and he's going up against Ross Cockrell, which is Tampa Bay's 4th corner, not even their 3rd, because Jamel Dean was hurt week 12. And, Jamel Dean, you could argue he's been Tampa Bay's most consistent corner this season. Pro Football Focus has him rated as their best corner. I think Carlton Davis is better, but he's still a very good corner. So when you have these kind of matchups where you're going up against the number 4 corner, you got to win it. Watkins is going to kind of try to use his hands a little bit to get some separation. Didn't really work out at the line. So now there isn't a ton of separation, but there is a way this play can work. He's now going to be running towards the outside, and he has good body position in that sort of outside leverage to where if Mahomes makes a good throw, this can absolutely be a completion. And quite frankly, for Mahomes, this is something he didn't do on this play, but something he could probably do in the Super Bowl. If you have Watkins on Ross Cockrell, make somebody catch it. Just throw it up there because that's a good matchup for Watkins. He's going to make that, probably 95% of the time, quite frankly. Because watch, as you see, Watkins has the positioning, just a bit of a high throw. I think more often than not, though, Kansas City does make that play. There weren't a ton of examples of plays like this. I think there will be a lot more in the Super Bowl because, took a while for Tampa Bay to finally realize which coverage was the best one. And then once they did, it kind of took Kansas City a bit to realize the best way to attack it. So kind of a bit of a weird back and forth there. But this is a type of play I could see being huge. And I could see this type of thing happening on key 3rd downs. So not just first downs, where obviously you want to gain yards, but this could happen on the key plays of the game. It could have to be Watkins making a play, and obviously Mahomes has to make the throw. I'm not going to show tape from a different game. I'm going to show tape from the New Orleans Saints game, because I thought the Saints definitely, probably more than any other team, made an effort to not get beat by Hill as much as possible. And Sammy Watkins actually had a pretty decent day in that one. So I don't think that those 2 things are completely unrelated. So Watkins has a one-on-one matchup. There is a safety deep, but the safety deep is kind of sort of peeking over to Mahomes' left, which is the defense's right. Because, that's where kind of all their stars are, and he's kind of relying on there to be a win against Watkins. That's kind of what your defense has to do, is win against Watkins. But one of the things I really like about Watkins is that I do feel like he's someone who, he gives it his all every route. He's someone who's going to try to find a way to get open, and that's what he's going to try and do here. So at the line, you see that Watkins uses some contact to try and get open, but notice how he's getting open towards his right, which is, a bit unusual given we know his route. He's going to eventually be cutting to his left over the middle of the field. But what this is doing is it's kind of setting the expectation that he's just hoping that he's going to, get the corner to believe that he's trying to blow by him, especially without really safety help in that area, and then he's going to actually cut over the middle. And when he does that, he is able to get open enough. Again, this isn't wide open, but it's the NFL. You don't get wide open too often. For Mahomes, though, that is wide open. He makes those throws 9 out of 10 times. He makes those throws as often as wide open guys do. So he's an accurate enough player that you can just try to get that open. This play is another good I love this play. I think this play is very fun because things are going to go right and things are going to go wrong. So for one thing, what Kansas City is going to do, which I think they'll do against Tampa Bay as well, is run a pick play. Kelsey's going to help set the pick, and you know what? With Kelsey probably getting extra attention, it's not really the case on this play, but on a lot of plays he probably will. Having him just set a pick, you could end up, usually kind of the bright side of a pick is often it can, he takes care of the guy who's playing man coverage against him, and you get in the way of the other player who's trying to cover Watkins, so you can kind of take away 2 players with just Travis Kelce. Well, if Kelce was getting doubled here, you're taking away 3 players with just Travis Kelce, which is obviously great, and then Watkins runs underneath and tries to get open. One of the issues is that New Orleans happens to really kind of have won the lottery with this play call. They're dropping back multiple defensive linemen over the middle of the field, and that's going to make things very difficult for Watkins. Watch how once this play starts, Watkins is open. I mean, the defensive back is completely, he's facing the wrong way now because he got bumped. But the problem is that Watkins now has to get around a New Orleans linebacker. So it's chaos has ensued here. Watkins is wide open, but can't really take advantage of it right here. However, he fights through this. He gets open anyways and is able to make the grab and picks up a first down and then some. Again, that's kind of what I say. He's a high motor player. He finds a way to get open, even when he already was open and then things didn't work out. He still remains open. One last play I want to talk about will be this one. I think this one's probably just like the best example of really what I want to see him do. And I think this will be a good example of showing what he could do against these Tampa Bay corners because it's a one-on-one matchup again. So that's the situation. It's one-on-one matchup. Once again, can you win it? And I really want to focus on how he's going to end up winning this matchup. So Mahomes takes a snap, and Watkins, there's a bit of hand fighting, but he really gets that corner to turn his head a little, and that's what you want if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to get these Tampa Bay corners to turn their head, because they love to play aggressive, they love to play the ball, they do a great job when there's not much separation, but the one exception is if they can't get their head turned around because you're past them. Once you get that situation, they can't look back, they can't use their hands, which is a key asset in their games, and that's how you can potentially get open, and that's what I want to see Watkins do. Well, it's not what I want to see Watkins do because I'm a Bucs fan, but that's what I don't want to see Watkins do because I think it would help the Chiefs. This pass isn't completed, but that's because there was some interference, and the interference was there because the defensive back couldn't see where Watkins was. So, it might not always be a catch. Sometimes it could be interference, but the yards count all the same, and in the Super Bowl, who cares about personal stats? Just win the game, and I think Watkins could be a key factor in that. And I think the flip side is, if Jamel Dean, or maybe even if they put like Carlton Davis on him, or Sean Murphy-Bunting, who all of a sudden has become a great corner in these playoffs, not really sure what happened there. If one of those guys can, shut Watkins down, and obviously it's not just Watkins, as I said, I'm using him as the poster child for the number 2 receiver. But, Kansas City, they have plenty of receivers who could potentially step up and have that day. Mecole Hardman, Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson. They have guys, but I think Watkins, who might not even play, but it looks like he will. I believe it's been confirmed that he will play. So him having a big day would go a long way. And honestly, I think if Watkins has an 100-yard day, I think the Chiefs win. I think it's that simple. Because if Tampa Bay, doubles Kelce, they double Hill, and Watkins is still getting open, then it's just game over. What do you even do? That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my assessment that Watkins is the key player, or do you think it won't matter too much? Or maybe do you think I'm sleeping on like a Mecole Hardman or something? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.